Hi, this is Geo, and I hope you can hear me well. As the name of this video might indicate, um, I am going to talk to you and show you how to install and use Eclipse C and C++ on Ubuntu 14.04. It's going to be the 64-bit Linux version, of course, because it's on Ubuntu. Despite my little Debian bulb here on the background in the Debian applications menu icon there, where it's normally that's Cartopia, but I promise you, my system this is a Ubuntu operating system. You name V. It's a 14.04 Ubuntu. As you can tell, you name R. I'm currently using I've upgraded the kernel to 3.19, 051 generic. Okay, so to get started, there's a few reasons why I'm doing this. I've been using Linux-based systems. That's all I use, all I've ever used, and this was kind of tricky for me to figure out how to use and install and use Eclipse C and C++. I usually program from command line, do linkages that way, do everything with G++ or NetBeans. Okay, so with that said, we are going to first off, I'm going to tell you another reason is that I do not want personally to install Eclipse from the repository, even though you can. Okay, if we pull an apt cache search here, Eclipse apt is our package manager. Fedora uses either Yum or DNF depending on which version you're using. As you can see, we have Eclipse, and there is the CDT, the C and C++ development tools for Eclipse, and here is Eclipse by itself. But I want you to see this, okay? If you try to install Eclipse, because of all the dependencies that are marked in the package, they give you the whole platform. They give you everything, okay? They also give you the OpenJDK, just a whole bunch of stuff here. Sudo install Eclipse. All right. Give it my password. And my goodness, would you see it? Look at all this stuff. It's like 100 packages here, okay? It's easily 100. I don't know if it's 100 packages. It's easily 75 packages for Eclipse. The ant optional. It gives you some stuff for Tomcat, Apache Tomcat. It gives you some. It gives you the OpenJDK. It gives you the OpenJDK JR runtime environment. It's a whole bunch of stuff that I don't want. Okay, and that you might not either. I don't know what version of the Java virtual machine you're using, and who's the distributor of it. I went to a university and studied computer science and in a graduate program in Tennessee, and they have a strong Java program. The majority of the program is developed, and it's built around the Java programming language. Okay, I program and do a lot of C++ programming myself though, and other languages. Nonetheless, so here, if you check my Java version out, this Java version is the Oracle distributed. I began using Java when it was distributed by Sun. The Oracle Corporation bought out Sun Microsystems, and they now develop and distribute the Oracle Java Virtual Machine, the JDK, the Java Development Kit. Okay, I'm using 1.8045 here. All right. I might put up another video on how to do that. This is my third video, courtesy of this open broadcast software that I have stumbled across, which I'm very excited about. All right. Okay. First thing, you have to install the GNU GCC compiler collections version of a C++ compiler, which is G++. And on Ubuntu 14.04, the standard version is G++ 4.8. Okay, and to compile from command line, you have to have those, and you have to have installed Build Essential. All right, so we're going to do that real quick. If we just install Build Essential, so that's what I'm about to do. All of our prerequisites, the G++ package in binary, the G++ 4.8 package in binary, and the library standard C++ 4.8 dev package will all be installed. Okay, let me give it my password here. We're going to install these real quick. This is mandatory before you can run. Here are the new packages that will be installed: Build Essential, G++, G++ 4.8, library standard C++ 4.8 dev. Okay, on Ubuntu you must do that. That is a necessity. Now I want you to pay attention. This is going to come up here in the future after we download and install EclipseCpp IDE. Notice how this says update alternatives. That is that's Debian and Ubuntu's version of Red Hat / Fedora's alternatives update. Okay, just alternatives. There's been a symbolic link created for user bin C++, and it is called G++. Okay. All right. Now that has been done. Now next we're going to download. First off, I'm going to show you how to. Normally, if you were, let me see, what do we got here? What was the program? Okay, normally if you were going to compile, one second. Normally if you were going to compile a program from command line, to all of those who are new, some people probably might already know how to do this, so good for you. You're newer than some might not. I don't know. There's people that don't program much in C++ or might be new to Linux. They might have programming experiences. Who knows? But anyways, so when you want to compile from command line using G++, which is the GNU GCC compiler collections version of a C++ compiler, you will type G++. I'm gonna give it the flag O, and what O means is O allows you to. The flag O allows you to give a binary name your binary executable. Okay, normally it would just be an a.out, a period out file, and you would execute that. This allows us to name that executable as its in its file location. Okay, within our file tree hierarchy. So we're going to say max min avg max min avg.cpp. Is that right? And that's the money shot. Okay, so we were able to compile it. Now we're going to run this real quick. Max min avg, and it actually ran. It said something. Okay, I'm gonna explain this program to you in a minute. What that max min avg.cpp program is, because I'm gonna use that as an example in the Eclipse. IDE. But first off, we need to download the installer. Okay, this is there's been some changes. I don't know. Depends on when you started using Eclipse. I started using Eclipse many years ago, and there wasn't an installer for it. You just downloaded it in a tar gun zip, and it would search for updates, and you would have to install your own updates via repository or whatever, P2 or whatever. We're gonna go to the Eclipse C++ download. Okay, here's the downloads. All right, and of course we want to choose Linux. This is what's my processor here? I'm using x86_64, or which is synonymous with the AMD 64 or the Intel 64. People call it, I think, the Power 64, maybe. So here is my 64-bit. All right, I'm gonna go with the Canadian, the Canada. I'm going with Canada here, okay? La Viva Canada. We're gonna download that real quick. I'm confident in my checksum. All right, that is very, very, very confident. I really shouldn't be that confident, okay? But I'm on a fast network here. And unless this guy Raphael, who's ever Rashowski, whatever his name was, who's I just downloaded this from, unless he has sabotaged this installer executable, we should be all good. That's bad practice, though. You should usually check your checksum. Okay, so we have downloaded that. We went to Eclipse. We chose Linux 64-bit. All right, and then we downloaded the nearest mirror, which was from Canada, to my location. I'm in Tennessee. I am in the United States of America, in the state of Tennessee. All right, so I'm gonna move into downloads. I'm gonna change directories to downloads where I downloaded that, and here is our tar gunzip archive. Right. All right. I personally, this is a piece of third-party software, and I personally like to install. There's a few different places I like to install third-party software. Okay. But user local is one of them. I'm fond of user local. All right. So with that said, this, when we extract this, which is what I'm about to show you, this tar xv xvf, I'm going to extract this here. Okay. When we extract this, it extracts into a directory called Eclipse installer. All right. That's going to what they extracted. Once we extract this archive, there's going to be a directory called Eclipse installer. Within Eclipse installer, there is an executable file, stat. I believe that's it. An executable file called Eclipse -inst. Okay. And when I hit enter here, you will see that the permissions on it are read, write, and execute. 0755 access, 0755 read, write, and execute. Okay. And I am currently the owner of this. On Ubuntu standard, this is the only operating system on this hardware. I don't even own a Windows operating system. This is it for me, guys. So, but just in case you didn't know, which most of you probably do, but if you don't, when you do a fresh install of Ubuntu, by default, the installation wizard, when you're installing the operating system, makes the user account, the first user account, adds the user account to the administrator group 4, and the GID group 4 and group 27, okay, which is sudo. But also your standard UID, user ID, and your standard GID, group ID, are 1000 and 1000, okay, on Ubuntu, on CentOS, and on the Community OS and Red Hat and other distributions. That might not be the standard UID and GID, okay, but it is on Ubuntu. All right, with that said, now getting back to where I like to install third-party software, I'll go back in here real quick. I like to install third-party software in a few different places on my system, but one of them is in user local. Okay, that's where I'm going to install this. This piece of software is in a subdirectory of user local. Okay. So first off, I'm going to make a directory called sudo. I'm doing this for the reason that I'm going to bring that tar archive. I'm going to move that tar archive into user local in a moment and extract it. I'm going to make a directory called Eclipse CPP. We'll say C2P Mars. All right, because the name of this particular version of Eclipse is Eclipse C++C/C++, and it's the Mars edition. Okay, Kepler, Luna. I used to use Kepler. A lot of people used to use Kepler, but there was Luna, and there's been some other ones since. This one's Mars. All right, so I'm going to make that directory. That directory is made. Oh, whoops. Tell you what, I'm gonna change the change the permissions on that directory to 0755 user local. That gives the user, the group, and and everybody associated with the group access to read, write, and execute anything within the, well, read, write, and execute permissions for objects that are read, write, and executable. Okay. So now we're going to move this tar.gunzip. I'm just going to move CD downloads. All right, move everything, since that's the only thing. Oh, no, to user local. I'll just move it there. I got to be permission denied. Good. I got to be. I got to use super user privileges there to do that. So we're going to go to user local. All right, I'm typing sudo bash right here, and I'm going to extract this thing one time. While this installs, I explained this program to you that I ran, and that we ran from command line. Compiled and ran from command line. The min-max average program. Okay, so now as super user, I am going to extract this, since I am in the directory owned by the root user. Okay, I'm doing this for a few different reasons. I will explain those to you. All right, that thing is extracted. I'm going to exit the virtual fake root of sudo bash, and now we have Eclipse installer right here, and the directory that we made, EclipseCpp Mars. All right, I'm going to go into Eclipse, the directory that we made, Eclipse C2P Mars. I've switched directories, as you can tell by my prompts, and I'm going to move the user local Eclipse installer. I'm going to move everything. I'm going to move all of the contents of user local Eclipse installer, this directory right here. I'm going to move everything that's within that folder, or in that directory, to the directory I'm currently in, which is Eclipse C2P Mars. This is a preferential thing, okay? So we're going to do that. We've done that. All right. Now we are going to go back one. We're going to change the ownership, as I was mentioning earlier about group and user IDs. All right. We're going to type sudo chown, which is change ownership recursively to give it. I'm going to become the owner of that directory, everything that's within it. C2P. I'm doing this for a few different reasons. Number one, I do not like for software to have access to my root directory. And by root, I do not mean I'm not talking about the file tree hierarchy, which is this thing. I am talking about this directory right here is the file tree hierarchy, which they call that the root of your file system. Okay, I'm talking about this directory. Okay, the one that says root on it. All right. If we stat that, you will see that the permissions on that are 0700, and there is only 2 files in there, and they are not to do with anything to do with any kind of software. Okay. All right. Different operating systems do different things. They got their file trees set up just slightly different, and the root directory within the root of the file system, it will be owned. That will be the main directory of user root, but the permissions on it may be different. So on Arch, on Fedora, you might find a bunch of different software. On BSD, different systems, they're different. The permissions of them are different. Ubuntu is 0700 for that. With that said, we're going to continue on. Okay. Now, we're going to move into Eclipse C2P, which is where the installer's binary is. It's executable binary, which this is it right here. Alright, and for some reason, icon is also, the icon.xpm icon is also executable. So I'm going to change that to 664 real quick, because I don't know why an image would be executable. That doesn't make sense. That's kind of sketchy. And we're going to run this. Okay. Now, if we have not had made this, given us ownership to this right here, we cannot place the contents of the new Eclipse install in this directory. Okay, we're going to do an advanced install on this, by the way. I'm going to get to that right now. So here we go. We're firing up the Eclipse installer by oomph, or it says OOMPH, which that spells oomph, but that could also mean I don't know. Maybe the guy was a James Bond fan, whoever started the oomph, and he also liked to go real fast. So that could be 00 miles per hour. I'm not for sure about that. You don't have to ask Ian Fleming about that. Let me make sure this thing is recording as well, because I am recording. So Houston, we do have liftoff. Okay, so here we go. Here's our Eclipse installer by oomph. You didn't used to be an Eclipse installer. You used to have to do it. You would initialize it yourself. You download the tar, and that was that. You just went up and rolling. Okay, and you would just have to get all your everything else. You'd have to get from the repositories, or the Eclipse Market. Okay, the EMP, the Eclipse Marketplace. But things at times they are changing, my friend. Times they are changing. So we're going to click on this drop-down box right here. Okay, and we're going to choose Advanced Mode. All right. Now this allows us to be a little more liberal with our options. Okay. Here are the choices we can choose from. I'm going to choose Eclipse IDE for C and C++ developers. Okay. Here is my JVM user lib, or where the JDE lives. Okay. And the home pool. Notice this does not say root. That says home geo. That is me. That is my home directory. That is not going into root and the /root/ directory. All right. Then we're going to choose next. And that's everything we want. Okay, so we're going to choose next again. So here we go. So here it's actually going to do install.root install.ide, and here's the root install folder that it's trying to give us. Okay. Now that P2 file, it sometimes wants to say this right here. P2. I don't like that. This is no bueno in my opinion. But what do I know? But here's what we're going to do. Instead of doing this, we're going to do an absolute installation. And we are going to give it the command argument of @id.location. Okay? Installed in the specified absolute folder location. That's what we're going to do. All right, and the folder that we're going to use is the folder that this installer is in. That's where our root is going to be for the directory that this thing downloads and installs everything into, and that's going to be Eclipse. So this is going to say user local EclipseCpp Mars, and then there's going to be another Eclipse, and this within this directory. This is going to be the root of the installation, where all the files pertaining to the Eclipse that are going to be downloaded. Excuse me, I had a cough. That's where everything's going to go, is into this Eclipse directory right here, okay? But we're not going to do that. I don't need to put that. It will do it itself when it extracts. So I'm going to push next. And this is everything we're going to get, the P2 directory. And we're going to finish. Alright, well this thing's fetching all this and it's downloading all this stuff. I am real quick going to explain to you this program. Let me get you up to that. Oh, whoops. I'm going to have to remember that. Remember that and accept it. Going. Running. Keep them doggies running. Go doggy! Okay. Alright, so back, we're gonna place on Sublime real quick. Sublime's gonna open up, and here is this program that doesn't exist. Alright, what's going on here? Cancel. Cancel. Alright, cancel that. Yeah, close without saving. Alright, we're gonna open this up, this file that I was talking about here. This file's, I would just code it for you, but it took me about 30 minutes to code it the first time, so it probably might take a second there. Okay, here you go, buddy. So here's our includes. We're including IOStream, of course. We're including FStream. So we're going to open a file. We're including SSstream because we're going to parse the bunch of data that's in the file. Basically, what this file does. Let me cut it short. Which is what this class does. It opens a file up, reads a bunch of numbers that are in the file, and then sorts through the numbers, iterates through the numbers, finds the max, finds the minimum, and finds the average of all the numbers in the file. Okay? And the name of the file is data.dat. Alright? Data.dat. So here's how basically it works since this thing is still installing. So we got two lists. We got a string list and we got an int list, okay? So we create a file, an ifstream object called infile. And infile is going to open up, okay? Now we got a safety statement. If infile is open, we are going to iterate through the file and get each line from infile and stored in a string variable called line, alright? And then we're going to find the end of the line, and then we're going to take the substring of that line and store that in a variable called word hold, and set that, and then we're gonna store that in hold word, and then we're gonna put hold word in a list called list1. So list1 is a string list, okay? And then we're gonna iterate through list1 after finding its size, which is called terminate. We're going to iterate through list1 and take the front of every position and then pop it off and store that in a variable called word2. Hold word is a temporary variable that's used throughout the program. I just keep blanking it out right here. I can make it null. And so we take hold word for each iteration of the line, and we store it in a variable called ss. All right, I'm gonna get back to this in a minute. We don't care about you, Sublime. All right. Okay, Sublime text. What are you doing here? We're gonna close. We're gonna quit Sublime. Okay. So we quit Sublime. Okay. So here, back to what we were doing. Eclipse Mars.2. It has downloaded everything from the Eclipse repository. We're gonna press finish. All right. And well, we got to come up with a workspace name. What are we gonna name our workspace? I don't like putting just, that's too generic. Workspace. Working on Mars. Working on Mars. The name of our IDE is the Mars edition. So that's what we're doing. We're working on Mars. We don't have an atmosphere. We don't have oxygen. We got no O2 here, around here. We breathe through our ears. All right, ready? Okay, fire that thing off one time. It was set to automatically initialize once at one instance. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna exit this terminal instance here while this thing initializes. Alright, so here we go. We have, welcome to Eclipse IDE for C and C++ developers. Okay? We got this thing going. Alright. Now that we've done this, we're going to exit that thing. Go ahead and close. Now that we've done this, okay, we're going to make this a little easier for us to use. Alright? So we know the location of this executable stat, or ls. How about that? User local Eclipse C2P, I do believe it was, Mars, and that was the home directory, the root directory of our install, right? That's where the installer was, the root directory of the installer. Now the root directory of the install was Eclipse, if I'm correct, right? It was. So within the EclipseCpp Mars directory, there is a directory called Eclipse, and within the Eclipse directory, there is an Eclipse executable. Okay, that is the executable that we are looking for to run. We're going to run that, and when we do, that is going to allow us to create an instance of our IDE. All right, but first we're going to do this. Okay, we're going to type sudo bash. We're going to set that. We're going to give that to we're going to give a symbolic link for that, and let dpkg know that that we're using this as an alternative. And to do that, we're going to type sudo bash. That also creates a symbolic link and gives us a command of our choice to work with. Okay, so update alternatives. This is how you do this. This is how you update your alternatives. You use the command update alternatives on Ubuntu and Debian based operating systems. Okay, update -alternatives. On Red Hat based or RPM, most RPM based operating systems, they use just alternatives by itself. All right. Now you have to give this thing 3 arguments and quotation marks. Okay, and then give it a preference. The arguments are, where is the symbolic link going to be? It's the first argument. The second argument is, what is the name of the command that can invoke the symbolic link? And the third argument is, where is the location of the executable itself? Okay, so first off, I'm going to put this in user bin, and I'm going to call it EclipseCpp or C2P. Okay, how about them apples? And the name of this executable is going to be EclipseCpp. All right. Excuse me, not the name of the executable. The name of the command to invoke the symbolic link that invokes the executable is going to be called EclipseCpp. Now, the directory that is this directory right here, I'm going to cheat. Guys, I'm cheating. I have a pathway. I'm just going to copy and paste the pathway using a highlight and then followed by Control-Shift-C. Within terminals on Linux, you have to use Control-Shift-C and V instead of just Control-C and V. We have done that. That's different than Mac. Mac, you just have to use the command button with a C. But anyway, so user local EclipseCpp, Mars, Eclipse, and then Eclipse is the name of the executable. Okay, so update alternatives, update -alternatives. We're going to give it the flag of install, which needs 3 arguments. The first is where the symbolic link is to reside. The second is the name of the command to invoke the symbolic link which calls the executable. And the third is the executable itself. Okay? Now we have to give it a preference. The preference is 1 because this is the one and only instance where we should use EclipseCpp. Alright, so to check that, you can type man update alternatives. Now if we have done this correct+, earlier when we installed build essentials, you remember saying it was important that to make note of user bin G++ is in auto mode and is taking the place of user bin C++. Right? So here we go. We have done this. Update alternatives using this right here to provide this right here, EclipseCpp in auto mode. That means we are successful. If you do not see this output right here, or it says, if you get anything else besides this right here, you've done something wrong. Okay? So that is good. We're exiting that. Alright. Update our local database, the sudo update db, and we have done that. Now, to make this more accessible, we need to create a .desktop for it. Okay, an Eclipse .desktop for this this application. All right, we're gonna do that in C. We're gonna do that in. I'm gonna show you where to do that. I'm gonna change directories to. We're gonna do this in your home directory, in the .local directory of your home directory, within share slash applications within the .local directory of your home directory. Did you get all that? Right. So, spell it out for you. Share applications. I'm changing directories to this directory, to the .local share applications directory. We're there. Sweet. All right. So now we are going to create a .desktop here. Okay. I actually already have a .desktop for this, which is in, I do believe, miscellaneous text. That's the folder I have. And it's called Eclipse Desktop. I've already created this. I was a busy camper. I came prepared. All right, that way you can just see what it looks like. Oh my goodness, what's going on here? Oh, shoot. That's what's going on. I actually typed desktop. I am not the smartest man in the world. There we go. Okay, so here we go. In the Eclipse desktop.txt file that I created, we have a desktop entry. Okay, make this really quick. We're gonna do create a file. We're gonna create a file called Eclipse cpp.desktop. All right, and I'm about to copy and paste this. I know I'm a lazy programmer. Control C. We are about to do this runtime right in here, right now. Nano.desktop. Yes, that's this right here. Now, let me see here. Something's not right about this. I changed the executable to this right here, C2P. The executable's name, that's the command that will invoke the instance of our IDE that we want to run. And now your icon position might be a little different than mine. I have, as you can tell, I've installed the little Faenza icons here because I think they look cool with the little squarish. So they have an Eclipse. They have an Eclipse. They've produced the whoever made the Faenza icon theme has also made an Eclipse icon for that theme. So I'm going to use that one. Okay. Long story short. And I'm going to close this right now. Oh, notice how that just popped up. Launch this new application. How you like that? That works, huh? Alright, so I'm going to exit out of this. I'm not going to launch this application. But you know that I have this application. Actually, I'm about to use that again. Excuse me. I'm getting lazy, so I'm just hitting up to go scroll through my previous command entries, and that was one of them. I did that so I can get this thing, because I am about to make a custom icon on my dock. And I want to add a custom launcher to this Cairo dock. And the path to the image is that. And the name of the command to be entered, which we updated our alternatives, is C2P. Eclipse C2P, did I spell that right? Yes. And I'm going to call this Eclipse C2P. Okay. Now, people have had trouble with Eclipse C++. It is different. It is much different, and it is harder to run files in Eclipse. The Eclipse C2P IDE, Interactive Development Environment, or Interactive Development Editor, the editor for the environments. You want to be able to, in a good IDE, you want to be able to, for C++, like NetBeans and the NetBeans version of their C++ version and code blocks, you want to be able to compile. I mean, people like to be able to compile most classes, and to, test your code, especially starting out. If you're in a C++ class, you're taking C++ or maybe taking some type of algorithm or data structures class, whatever you're doing. Maybe some type of DigiLogic computer hardware class. I don't know. So you might need to use C++, maybe an operating systems class. I don't know. It depends on your universities. Maybe you just want to learn C++. Um, but you might want to be able to, instead of just compiling from command line like I've done for many years, you might want to be able to run your code within your IDE, which is possible. Okay, so here we go. We have initialized and we have activated an instance of this IDE. Right. So we're doing it here. Lock the launcher. I'm going to do this distinctly, just jumping at me. Why is that icon jumping? Stop jumping. Can you stop jumping? Okay. There. I'll do this one more time. It's only doing this because I'm using OBS, and OBS is using so much. I'm so happy to have the OBS software, but it uses so much of my CPU power. Look at this, 99, 100% of my CPU power. Why is it doing that? Yeah. Come on, Sally. So here we go, and here we go again. It is breathtaking. We got this. All right, maybe this icon will stop jumping at us here in a second. Welcome. I'm gonna let my IDE initialize, which it has done. Okay. Okay, let's start a project. We're gonna do a new project, okay? Now, we're gonna do a C++ project, all right? Now, we're gonna do an executable project, okay? And we're gonna do a Hello World C++ project, okay? Now, we're not using cross GCC. Cross GCC is for doing projects where you're going to build on one platform or one system and distribute or run on another. Okay, so you got a different compiler than your standard compiler on your system, or you've installed a special build path. Okay, that is not the case here. We're going to use Linux GCC. All right, and the project name, we're going to name this project min-max exhibition. Okay, so we're going to finish this Hello World project. Now, real quick, I'm going to show you something. There's going to be a pathway variable set. If you're opening files or you're working with files within your project, okay, within your class, you're opening files as part of your program code using an F-stream. This thing is going to write files and open files and read files as if it was using get pwd, okay, based on its include cstd lib, as if it was using what am I trying to say here? As if it was using if you echoed the home of the user. That's the environment, the variable that it's using. So basically, if you used get pwd, its pathway, it's opening and writing files to home geo, even though, as we know, that the project is within min-max exhibition source min-max exhibition.cpp. Min-max exhibition is within our project, or excuse me, within our workspace, and our workspace is ls. Our workspace is working on Mars. All right. So there's an environment variable that's missing. I'm about to show you this. I'm about to prove this to you by saying string get the current directory of this binary. Okay. I'm going to say gt pwd. All right. And get env. So I'm going to get the environment variable for pwd. Okay. Now, I'm going to see out this real quick. I'm show it to you. What does the IDE think the current working directory is? Now, our current working directory should be the current working directory of the binary executable. Okay. Now, when you create a project in C++, you create the project name, which we called our project min-max exhibition. Well, is that spelled exhibition? It doesn't matter if I spell exhibition right or not, guys. Don't give me a hard time about how I spelled that. I don't think that's spelled right, but whatever. So the root of our project is min-max exhibition, and it's within our workspace. Our workspace is named Working on Mars. Okay, so if we go into Working on Mars, which is our workspace, and go into min-max exhibition, we change the directories in there. We have a folder called source, src. Then that is where our .cpp file is. Correctamundo. That's correct. Okay. So I'm going to run this. I'm going to build this program real quick and run this little file here, and we're going to find out what this IDE's pathway is and what it thinks about the. First off, I got to put that variable name down so it will print it. What it thinks about where it thinks that its current working directory is. All right. All right. So we're going to build this thing. It's running. It's running. There's the build of it. All right. We're gonna run it. We're gonna run it as one time. Operation in progress. Looking for executables, and that's the one we want to. That's the one we want to run real quick. And the console says that. What does the IDE think the current directory is? Home geo. Okay. Now we know that not to be true. All right, because if it was the binary itself running this, the binary would be in CD. Whoops, I don't need this one because I have one open. Right. Now, since we have just, when we list, all we had was one directory. It's called source. When we listed everything that was in the directory that we're currently in, our terminal prompts in, the only directory was source, src. Okay. Now, if we list again, we have debug. That's because we built the project. Now, if we go in debug, we have an executable file. We have a couple different files. We have a make file. We have an objects.make MC, a sources.mc, and another source file where your .o files. And if you know anything about C++, you might have a .o, you might have .o, you might have some some object files, some assembly files, whatever. So the min-max exhibition right here, this is our executable. This is what's actually running. All right, that's what we just executed. This thing just here's what it outputted. Okay. Now if we run this from in here, from command line, you will notice we get a completely different argument than home geo. It will give us the actual working directory of the executable, which that's where we're at right now on our prompt over here. The executable min-max exhibition is in home/geo/working on Mars/min-max exhibition/debug. Okay, and that's what it's going to tell us is our current working directory when it prints the working directory. Home geo working on Mars min-max exhibition debug. Okay, so that tells us that the IDE's environment variables are it's using some type of command argument to state what the root of the workspace is, not the root of the actual executable, right? Okay. All right. Now, with that said, see how this says home geo right here? This right here, oops, this right here says home geo. All right. That's the same. I just executed the same executable from two different using two different methods. One was from command line. One was from the IDE that made it and ran the command line arguments. I don't know why that is, but that's what it does. Okay. So when you're working with files and you're testing, working with files and you're opening files and you're writing the files, I would recommend doing this. Okay. Back to what I was showing you earlier. So I delete this off right here. Actually, I'm going to delete all of this. Okay, I'm going to delete all of this for a reason. I'm going to kill this. We're going to get rid of that. Now, I'm fixing to open the file. Open the file that I was using to show you and demonstrate to you how to compile and execute a C++ class and executable from command line, which was min max average CPP. Okay. Now, here we go, right? I'm going to take everything from min-max average CPP, copy. This is quite a large class. It's 157. It's actually a function and a driver, and then int main. Okay, so it's 157 roughly lines long with comments and everything. So as I was telling you, I think it was around. For those of you maybe new here, this class opens a file called data.dat. Okay, this right here. It checks to make sure the file's open. Okay, then if it's not open, it gives a little statement saying, "Well, sorry, we can't open it. Sorry, something messed up." All right, if it does open it, it's going to iterate through the file and take every line in the file and store it in a string variable called line. Okay, it's going to get every line from the file. And what is going on here? Stop. Okay, and then it's going to store. Basically, it's gonna going through here real fast. It's going to take every line that does not have a it's going to find every line and then add its character slash at where the line actually ends on paper. It's going to store that in a variable called index, an integer variable, and then it's going to get the substring of that. That way we only get from the 0th position to wherever position that the characters stop on the line. Okay. All right. We're going to store that in a string list called list1 each time that it runs through that. So each line is stored right there. Okay. Now, long story short, we're going to iterate through that list using the list's size, and the size of that list, how many index positions there are, how many individual lines there were, a string variable stored each time, and each index position of that container is stored in terminate. The size of the list is terminate. Okay, so then we're going to pop each one off. We're gonna say that whatever's stored in the front at the front index position of the list, we're gonna store that in string word2, and then we're gonna pop the front off every time after we do that. Okay, we're iterating through this. All right, so. And then we're going to store that in a word called whole word, which is a temporary variable used throughout the program, which is nulled at the end of every iteration. All right. So then whole word is passed the string stream variable ss. Okay. And I create a temporary variable here because it's an integer. All right. So now each time we're going to go through ss and we're going to find every integer. Okay. In this file. Now this file. Data.dat. I'm going to cat this real quick. This is what it looks like. I mean, I can change the file, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you what, I'll take half the numbers here, and we'll make another file called data.dat 1 and 2. Okay? Nano data 1.dat. How about that? And we'll do this. Now we're going to say 77, 87, let's see here, 1980, okay, 2016, we'll say, I don't know, pick some numbers, hit something, I don't know, something, just 2, no, I don't want to do that, 3, 7, 007, 11, I don't know, running out of choices here, so this is data 1 data, we might use that in a minute, okay, so this is just a file with a bunch of integers in it, and we're going to store every single integer, each individual integer, in a list that is an integer list called list2. Alright, that list was up here. I created that list up here. So here's list2. List2 is to store all the post SS stream integers in. Sorry for the comments, I'm not very good at that. So once we do that, okay, once we do that, we're going to invoke this function called average, max, and min, and I'm passing list2 to it, into it as an argument. Alright, where's this thing at? It's up. This is where it starts. Void, average, max, and min, list2. Okay, so list2 basically, or this function basically, scrolling down, I got some variables. I got the size of the list. Okay, I got an integer variable called total, another integer variable called average, an integer array called hold array, which is given the size of the integer list, the size of that list, however many index positions there are in that list, that's how big this hold array is going to be, okay? This variable called hold array. Alright, and then I got a couple temporary variables in num hold and hold max, and then the max and the min. Alright, so first off, we're gonna trade off. We're gonna pass everything that's in every index position of the list 2, the integer list. We're gonna put that in a temporary variable, and then put that in another temporary variable, and pop the front of it, and then pass that temporary variable to the hold array. Basically, that might not be the correct order, but that's what we did. So the hold array is filling up right here. Right here, hold array is filling up with everything that was in list 2, and list 2 is being depleted. All right, in this locally, and we still have to clear the list in the driver, but whatever. So now we're going to find the sum. All right, so we're totaling. I'm overloading the operator here on the total. Each time it's going to go through there, and it's going to, at every index position, because we're using J, we're allowed to use J now that we have an array. We can find the index position and keep reusing this array and we're gonna add up the total. All right, now once we do that, we find the max. Once you find the max, you can find the min really easily because you don't have to fabricate a max to start working your way down to find a min. All right, you can't just set the min to 0, or else what if the instance happens that it is 0? Then you'll never know if it was less than or not. Okay, so now we are not fabricating a min, saying like 1 billion is the min. Anything lower than 1 billion, make that the new min. We're actually going to go back through the list. That means you go back through the array that we still have now. We have access to each individual index with our iterating variable j. Okay, our incrementing variable j. We'll put that in hold min. Now, if hold min is less than min, okay, min right now currently is equal to max before this thing cycles through. If hold min is less than min, all right, min is equal to 0, and then min then becomes hold min. So whatever hold min is, if it's less than max, it becomes the new min, and that keeps happening. This is called the anti-gladiator method, okay? That's what we're doing. It's because we're going in reverse, but still,